don't have to yet. It's not ready. There it goes.
Okay, so now I would like to discuss how HIV and AIDS is transmitted. Everyone knows that there are 4 different ways how to transmit HIV. First is through semen. And what I mean by semen, the semen is through a man's bodily fluid, and that can either be through anal or vaginal or oral sex. That would be the first way that you can transmit HIV. And what you need to understand is that semen, when the HIV, when it's in the semen, it's when it comes out. It lives inside of the semen. And what you need to do is, most people think that after they have sex and they go to the bathroom, they can just wipe their vagina or their penis off and they'll be okay, but that is false. What you need to do is you need to understand that HIV lives inside of the semen. The third thing that we're going to talk about of how to transmit HIV is through needles. And how different people, and also through breast milk is another way to transmit HIV. It's important to remember all 4 of these things. Now we're going to be talking about the second way of transmitting HIV, which is through the vaginal fluids. And now we're going to talk about other ways of how you can be sexually active. The first way is through oral sex. So you can either give a blowjob or you can either eat someone out. It doesn't matter if it's 2 women together or if it's 2 men together giving blowjobs. It could be a man and a woman together. Any reason like that, you have risk of contracting HIV. Well, let's just say that there's a man and he's eating me out. And this man doesn't have HIV, but I do. So if the man is eating me out, he can now contract HIV because he was taking in my bodily fluids. Another story that I would like to explain about is there is a man who has HIV and I'm giving him a blowjob. So now I can contract HIV. So now we're going to talk about sex and anal sex. And then what happens is when you're having anal sex and maybe the butthole is too tight, what can happen is when the man tries to penetrate and he tries to put the penis inside, your anus can rip and it'll start to bleed. So that's another way to contract HIV is through blood. So now we're going to talk about vaginal sex. And if you have vaginal sex, that's a way you can transmit HIV. And the third thing we're going to talk about, remember how I said if you share needles, that's a way to transmit HIV? What you need to make sure you do is if you're sharing needles, you should use bleach to clean off your needles. But what I prefer is using my own needles. I don't like to share them. But it's better to bleach your needles first before you share them. And at the same time, use water and bleach to clean them, and then give it to someone else, and then they can use your needle. But again, I prefer to use my own needles. Now, I'm going to tell you that the best way to stay HIV positive or to stay HIV negative is to always have safe sex. You need to practice having safe sex. And that it's important that you need to remember the 4 ways to transmit HIV, which again, those 4 ways are through blood, breast milk, vaginal fluids, or semen. You need to remember those things in order to continue to practice safe sex. And so that way you do not transmit HIV so anyone else cannot get it.